A very good afternoon to one and all. I am Hardik Motani, student of UPT Semester 5, General Secretary and Treasurer of Student Council of MGM School of Physiotherapy, Navi, Mumbai. Welcomes our Honorable guest, Dr. Murad E Lala sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Shashank Dalve sir, Honorable Pro-Vice Chancellor, Dr. Nitin Kadam sir, Medical Director, Dr. Sudhir Kadam sir, Registrar, Dr. Rajesh Goyal sir, Research Director, Dr. Chandramani Pathak sir, Dean of MGM Medical College, Dr. Nashati sir, Medical Superintendent, Dr. Salgotra sir, IQAC Coordinator, Dr. Rita Khatikar ma'am, Professor Director, MGM School of Physiotherapy, Navi, Mumbai, Dr. Rajni Mulapadan ma'am, Professor, MGM School of Physiotherapy, Navi, Mumbai, Dr. Bela Agarwal ma'am, Principal, MGM Institute University Department of Prosthetics and Orthotics, Dr. Uttara Deshmukh ma'am, all the respected faculty members, and my fellow colleagues from MGM School of Physiotherapy, Navi, Mumbai and Aurangabad, MGM Medical College, Navi, Mumbai and Aurangabad, MGM School of Biomedical Sciences, Navi, Mumbai and Aurangabad, MGM Institute University Department of Prosthetics and Orthotics, Navi, Mumbai, MGM New Bombay College of Nursing, and MGM College of Engineering and Technology to this extremely special and motivational session from Scalpel to Summit, my tryst with Everest. Life's highest peaks are not limited in the mountain regions. They lie within the depths of our soul, where dreams and resilience converge. Today, we have the honor and privilege of being in presence with an embodiment of that spirit, Dr. Murad E Lala sir, HOD of Department of Surgical Oncology at PD Hinduja National Hospital and Medical Research Center, Mumbai, a surgeon who has conquered the formidable Mount Everest, scaling both metaphorical and literal summits. The students of MGM Institute of Health Sciences and MGM College of Engineering and Technology have had their fair share of trekking and have shared some insights. I would like to invite my colleague Sudhir Dinkar to share the video of their experiences.
Hello, I am Suraj Gupta from SEM 3 of Department of Physiotherapy. Last year I went to a trek on AMK, also known as Alang Madan Kulang, a range trek situated in Bandardara region of Maharashtra. This trek is 30 km long and it takes 2 days and 1 night to cover the entire trek. This course includes dense forest, rock climbing and rappelling, which makes it one of the most thrilling treks of Maharashtra. Although it requires high endurance, for me the most difficult part was rock climbing and rappelling, since I am scared of heights. Apart from all these difficulties, the memories from the camp and the view from the top made it one of the best trek of my life.
Hello, my name is Riddhi Patil from SEM 3, Department of Physiotherapy. So, I recently went to the trek on Prabalgarh Fort, which is 2,300 feet on top, which is located near the Matharan. So, the beautiful part about it was that it had the most beautiful view, and there was Kalavandan Fort in front of us. And the most funniest part about it was that I went with my friends, and they were also the beginners. And we almost lost our way, but due to other trekkers, we could reach on the top. The most challenging part about it was coming back down, because I have fear of heights, and due to that experience, I was able to overcome it. It was a very fun trek.
My name is Khushi Khandelwar from Semester 5. Last monsoon, I went to the Tahuli trek. One good thing about the trek was that it pushed me beyond my capacity, and one bad thing about the trek was that I wasn't well equipped and it was extremely tedious.
Myself, Vedant from Semester 5. Last year in the monsoon season, I went to a trek to Rajmachi Fort. I went there with my few friends. I really enjoyed the trek. We saw many beautiful views as well as waterfalls. The only problem I faced was while descent because of monsoon season and lack of equipment, because of which I twisted my ankle, but I really enjoyed the trek.
Hello, this is Navi Khan from SEM 3. So recently I've been on a trek to Kalavandan Fort. It's a historic place to be visited. So the first half of the trek was really exciting with the views and the wildlife. The second half was a bit challenging due to the rock climbing. The rock climbing had no support with the ropes, so we have to climb without any support. But it was totally worth it because the top, the views and everything was very refreshing and energizing.
I am Christian from Semester 5. So recently I went on a trek to Naneghat. And apart from the mesmerizing view, one challenge which I faced was my stamina. So I realized that in order to explore more of such treks, I'll have to work on my stamina. And currently I am working on my endurance and stamina in order to complete my next trek with ease and without any difficulty.
I am from semester 5 and I recently had an opportunity to go to the Kalsubai trek. It was an amazing trek, but it wasn't easy all the way long. The main difficulty that I faced was getting down the stairs, as the stairs were placed at a steep slope. However, I took this as a challenge and I aim at completing many more treks.
Hello, so my name is Kausal Jadhav from SEM 3 from Department of Physiotherapy. Recently I went to Chanderi Fort. The trail to reach at the top of the fort is quite difficult as it was full of dense forest and rocky patches which made it difficult to climb. So at the summit we camped in the caves situated at the top and we made our own food as it was my first time camping in the wilderness. Overall it was a good trek, it challenged me mentally and physically and I finally got to camp in the wilderness.
These were some raw experiences shared by my colleagues. Now I would like to invite our MPT scholar Shivani Chavan on the stage.
Good afternoon everyone. I am Shivani Chavan, MPT scholar. So to summarize this video, our students shared a few insights from their experience and we saw that they embarked on a journey in which they faced many challenges. But some faced, some had palpitations, some had injuries. But these challenges did not stop them from paving their way to the top for a breathtaking view and a mesmerizing experience. I would now like to call a few members from the audience to share their experience on trekking.
Good afternoon to one and all present here. I am Divya Thakur, MPT scholar from MGM School of Physiotherapy. I have done a Himalayan trek which is Kamothe Glacier, which is placed on the feet of Himalayas. It is the part of Nanda Devi base camp. So it was my first Himalayan trek and previously I had done some regional treks. So it was a quite thrilling experience. But when I reached, I was on the midway to reach the glacier and it was a different experience. It was thrilling and I had a different along the way when you have this tendency that you feel it is mighty, you can easily do it, it's just trekking, we'll enjoy, we'll click pictures, but it is not like that. It is nature, nature is great and the creation of God. When you see it in front of you, you feel like you are nothing in front of it. So it was a very wonderful experience. Thank you.
Good afternoon, one and all. I'm Janvi Shah, MPT scholar. So, 2 years back I visited a trek, Devkund waterfall, which is in Raipur district itself. It is at 2,700 feet high. So, initially, and I visited in monsoon season. So, we were well equipped with shoes, footwear, everything. But as it's nature and it's not man-made, so the rocks, we also experienced some landslides coming down. So the rocks, even we had equipped with good footwear and everything, but there was slip, you couldn't, so in between there were rivers, there were rock climbing. So on those parts you felt like, nahi hoga, let's not do it. Let's not go up, it's very difficult. And also the changing weather. So in the morning it was very windy. Then afternoon it went little heat. And then again ongoing monsoons coming, going, the rains coming, going. So it becomes little difficult to adapt to that weather. And as you go on that altitude, it was more difficult to balance the health endurance with the environment. So that becomes little difficult. But then the surrounding people around me, they were like, you can do it, just push yourself. But the end result, as it is always said, the journey is more beautiful than the destination. So the journey which we made it, the destination was definitely worth it. Thank you.
Good afternoon everyone, I am Bharti from semester 5. So back in 2018, I went for my first trip ever to Solar Valley, which is in Manali. It was more of a camping experience and we changed our camp every night. So the trek was nothing difficult. But what made the trek special for me was we did not take any phones with us. So we were completely in the arms of nature with no outside connection. And all the food that was cooked, that was on the fire, and we had bonfire nights. It made me connect with myself and with nature. which helped me to clear my head as well as get ready for the future life. So trekking was indeed a very life-changing experience for me, and I can't wait for my next trek. Thank you.
Hello everyone, myself Dr. Payal Mulgurkar. I am Assistant Professor at MGM School of Physiotherapy. My journey for trekking started in undergraduate years from KM. It was a trend in KM that the new batches were taken to treks as a welcome. So we never used to go to pubs or discos or a dance party, but it used to be a trek, welcome trek. So our interns batch, our immediate seniors used to take us to trek. So it was like every year at least 2 or 3 treks we used to go. And the highlight of it, the last trek what we did was Kalsubai trek. It was amazing experience. All the treks were amazing experience in terms of how it challenges your cardiorespiratory fitness. You get scared in the dark. You have to stay in the local base camp, base village, have local food prepared by them. I remember at Kalsubai trek, we didn't have any food option. We were staying in this local village, and she was very kind to allow us to stay there. And morning she prepared all the food for us, tea for us also. And when we were having tea, it was a little different. So we were like, "Idhar ki chai alag kyun lag rahi hai? Why it is so different?" Then we asked her why the tea is so different. She said it is made from goat milk. I said okay. After this we had the tea. So it was nice experience. Then I think 5 years back I had my Ladakh trip. I always was a beach person. I always loved next to water. My Saturday, Sunday, if he has to plan, it is like let's go to some beach. But I think after Ladakh trip, it was like fallen in love with mountains. The magnanimous mountains and the geography, the lands. You feel you're nothing, and you feel what you're proud for. You're nothing in front of nature. The recent trip I had been to Mount Atlas and to Mount Jungfrau, and they have recently started ziplining there. So climbing, you had to climb there up for the ziplining point, and climbing up, I really started getting palpitations, and but probably my cardiorespiratory experience, my physiotherapy experience helped me there. We stood there, we took a break, we started personally breathing, we got my heart rate little down. I said, this is manageable, this can be done. So me and one of my friend was there, so we finished the zip lining also. So I think treks, being next to the nature, apart from the physical fitness benefit, it is very important for your mental health, because we are so always in a concrete jungle. We are always seeing a building, car, fan, whatever. It's all about concrete jungle. We are never next to the nature. So it's always important that you have some active breaks in life rather than just a passive break next to nature, seeing water. And I think it is being published also so many times that water side, looking at the water, the mountains, trees are helpful for your mental health. And I'm very fortunate, and I thank ma'am and MGMIHS to organize this session, because I will be hearing live to you about. I want to know more about how did you do acclimatization. And I think Everest, I don't know about the top, but base camp is in my bucket list. So I would like to know more about it. How did you go about planning and all? Thank you, sir. Thanks for everyone.
Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Dr. Aroni Joshi, and I am an assistant professor at MGM School of Physiotherapy. So, trekking has been the most amazing part of my life. The first trek which I had was in 6th standard. So my parents had enrolled me to the youth hostel camping, which is always for 7 days, 7 to 8 days. We went to Manali, and there we had a trek of a total of about 30 kilometers, which was done in parts. So the most difficult part of that trek was when we were going from spot 3 to spot 4. There was a huge storm kind of an atmosphere there, and we had to walk with the luggage on our backs, was almost about 12 kgs everyone was carrying. That was the most difficult part, and even after reaching there, we got scolding because there we had a bird viewing thing which had to be done, and we were late for the day. So the whole experience actually changed my life as to how nature can change your perspective towards it. So when we are here, we never really think about the nature in different ways. But as you go there and you face some challenges, that is when you understand the power of nature. Secondly, then I went to Kedarnath. Kedarnath is, I think it has become quite easy now because the path has been laid and there are almost doolies and everything to be carried. But we went walking, and again it was a very difficult one for me because I was just in 10th standard when I went there. And walking 14, that time it was 14 kilometers from one side. The other one is now about 30 kilometers up and down. So that one again was a really challenging one. And recently now I had one trek with my family. It was Kathmandu, and my dad and my mom, they both are in their 50s. But seeing them so enthusiastic to participate in trekking, they were the ones pushing me and my brother, let's go. And one Sunday we went there, and it was really amazing. And seeing them, reach till the top, it actually motivated us to we should always go ahead and try and push our limits to reach higher. This is what I learned. Thank you.
Hello everyone, so I am Jay Vegar from semester 2's Physiotherapy department, and a month ago, just a month ago, like on the last 16th of May, I had been to Kedarnath, and it was a fantabulous journey. Like we started in morning 7 a.m. and we reached up there around 12, and it was a fantabulous journey. Like it was more of a spiritual experience, and not only it was just about walking, but it was more about realizing how you are and how you are so small in front of nature, and how your existence is literally nothing when it comes to nature. You will really appreciate the journey because it's not all about the trek, but it's all about you and how dedicated you are to climb that trek. It was a fantabulous experience, and major issue was like we faced palpitation issues because of the low oxygen. That oxygen index is so low that even if you walk 10 to 15 steps, you have to just wait, and you are just breathing so heavily, and you have to control your water intake, or else you will face more problems, right? So yeah, that was the thing. But overall the experience was superb. It was fantabulous journey, and I would say all of us should at least one time do a trek to Kedarnath. It's a superb journey. It was a spiritual journey too, and one must just go for it. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am a student of Bachelor's of Physiotherapy semester 2. So I've always been an animal enthusiast all my life. I majorly like studying the behavior of animals, like to watch animals, and trekking majorly for me was nothing but spotting animals, right? I've been to various treks, majorly Karnala Bird Sanctuary, Bhima Shankar and Mathura. So majorly what I like is generally treks at night, which gives me an open view about more of animals, where I can spot animals. And yeah, so the recent trek that I went to was Karnala Bird Sanctuary, wherein I left the house around 4 o'clock in the morning, trek all the way up till 6 o'clock in the morning, watched the sunrise, and then eventually it was a fantabulous sight for bird watching, where I spent almost an hour or so watching the birds, knowing the nature around us. And once you know the nature around us, it's bigger than ever. It's something that you can't explain, right? It's something that makes you feel what you're actually worth at. We as humans have always been considering ourselves as a top order species, where we tend to dominate everyone, but treks like this bird watching thing, spotting animals, just makes you grounded to a level that you understand what nature is and what you're worth against. So yeah, trekking majorly was annual venturing for me, and more of a sporty thing. That's all. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am Dr. Mamta Shetty. I am an assistant professor at MGM School of Physiotherapy, Navi, Mumbai. After hearing all the experiences, I would say I've also been to a lot of treks, being the Nathula Pass in Sikkim, the Umfrau trek in Switzerland. But one trek which I want to mention is when I was doing my internship at MGM School of Physiotherapy. I think it was in the year 2013. Along with Dr. Dhruv Mehta, we had gone for a trek which was for the disabled. Here we are all sharing experiences which we are all normal people, but the people who have actually faced the paraplegics, the people who do not have one limb. The trek that was planned the plan initially was to reach in early morning, but what had happened due to certain instances we got late and the sun was already up. We people being so fit were also even thinking twice कि इतनी धूप में कैसे हो पाएगा. But actually it was the paraplegics, the amputees who gave us that courage to even climb that trek, the narrow lanes, the narrow rocky lanes, and the way they did it. And even they had that कि आप नहीं आ पा रहे, आप हाथ दो मुझे तो आप ऊपर आ जाना. So that one thing is nature definitely. But I think it is within us also that willpower to climb that and to see that experience is also worthwhile. So, I mean, if it's a people, it is not only us that we need a change from the daily routine. It has to be that sportingness, that willpower to even go there without anything. Palpitations even they had. In fact, they had a lot more challenges that we had. But then they gave us the confidence to complete that trek. Thank you.
Good afternoon to one and all. My name is Nishti Solanki and I am a MPT scholar from MGM School of Physiotherapy, Navi, Mumbai. So, from initial days, it has been very difficult for me to choose actively to take a break and go somewhere or maybe trek somewhere. But it has been a community service or rather a religious act as a family that we do. That every year we go to Palitana, which is in Gujarat, again Girnar, which is in Gujarat. So it is more of a religious place for us. And climbing 3,000 to 8,000 feet high above the sea level, it has always been with a motive to go somewhere and visit the God, worship the God, and do the spiritual acts that we do. So I have been into nature, but it has been difficult to go on a treks which has no motive. So my family has always taught me that why do you want to go somewhere that you don't even have a point visiting? So I have been brought up in that perspective. If you want to trek, you may as well as visit the religious places. So you have a motive. So trekking has always been that perspective to me. So to reach somewhere, to worship somewhere, to go somewhere. So gradually my Palamana has been improvised. They have stairs, properly built stairs. Again, as ma'am mentioned, for disabled, they have roadways. So everybody in the community and outside the community can visit the areas. Now in Kennaji, they are not yet modified. They are rocks. Rocks are like almost half a feet, 1 feet high above. So you really need to flex your lower limb and then climb high above to reach a certain point. Now, since it is a religious place for us, we don't believe in walking with footwears or eating somewhere that we're going. So we have particular spots where we eat, where we use the washrooms, restrooms and everything. So it is a different journey from the rest of the others because it has a religious base to it, but it is difficult, but the view is breathtaking. The disconnection from the society, from outside the world is very amazing. Like end of the day, you don't even realize that you have not spoken to so many people, you have not seen your phone. So yeah, thank you.
So very good afternoon to all members. So we have heard the various experiences of our students, of our faculty, and we are all eagerly waiting to hear to Dr. Murad E Lala. So to put things in perspective, I think mountaineering is, from the physiological viewpoint, if you, Dr. Rita will agree, is a challenge by itself, not only with respect to the heights that you are achieving. You have the challenge of low oxygen concentration at these higher altitudes, the low pressure that the body has to combat against, and which requires a process of acclimatization. So it is probably teaching you, the body is telling you go slow, go steady, and then achieve that height. So step-like manner in which you allow the time for your body to accommodate. And like you said, nature is so beautiful, so is your body very beautiful. It gets accommodated to n number of stimuli that you can expose it to. So not only do your lungs respond, so we'll talk a little, just 2 minutes of physiology before we invite Dr. Lala here. So all the systems which adapt to any level of physical activity. So students here should be able to tell us as to what would be the cardiorespiratory response to a low altitude stimulus, a high altitude stimulus to a hypoxic stimulus. Anybody in the audience? Can you tell me what would be the first response to hypoxia?
It's respiratory.
Yes. So what you see is an increase in the lung volume. So you're able to breathe in, the air becomes thinner and you're able to take in that excess amount of volume. So already the body has started to adapt, and as you go higher and higher, you will see more and more of those adaptations, where actually I was just asking Dr. Lala, do you really need to take those medications? So he'll give the answers to all these questions. So your body itself is able to adapt and allow you to reach higher and higher heights. There is something which is the slow accommodation, and then there is something which is the chronic. So people who live at high altitudes do not need to get, because they are already adapted. They already have the endurance. Somebody was talking about cardiorespiratory endurance. They already have that cardiorespiratory endurance that they can use to carry out their daily activities. For us, it may be a sport. For them, it's a way of life. But to enjoy the serenity of the mountains, we need to train ourselves probably in a more physiologic manner to be able to reach those heights very easily. So, just to summarize it all, I think the silence of the mountains, the serenity, the beauty calls out to us, but we need to prepare ourselves probably for it. So, now I would just like to invite Dr. Rajni to say 2 words before we start our session. Thank you.
A very good afternoon to all present here in this audience and those who are listening to us online. It's indeed an honor and privilege to have this amazing combination in one soul and body, which is the knowledge and expertise of the own body, being a cancer surgeon, and the passion to be one with nature. And I think that makes him most apt to address us and motivate us on this journey of participating into sports, not only trekking that we're talking about, and we're extremely thankful to all the students who've shared their experiences. So with this, let me introduce you to our guest speaker, Dr. Murad E Lala, and he is a gentleman who did not settle for anything less than the best when it came to mountaineering. Dr. Murad E Lala is an MBBS doctor, like many of the health professionals here on this campus, where he graduated from the Bellary Medical College in Karnataka and then went on to complete his MS in 1992 at the Command Hospital in Bangalore, and then graduated MCH Surgical Oncology in 1996 at Kidwai in Bangalore, and then later on at Tata Memorial Hospital till 2001, and then since then at Hinduja Hospital as the head of the Surgical Oncology department. These are the brief milestones of his medical career, along with the various fellowships that he was awarded in different hospitals in USA and across the world. And now talking about his dream, which he describes himself in very few and just apt words, that he's an ordinary person with an extraordinary dream. And I think that makes us feel that yes, even we are ordinary, but it's our dreams that make us and take us where we want to be. Dr. Murad E Lala is an alumnus of St. Lawrence School, Lowville, and he's now working at PD Hinduja Hospital for the past 22 years. Young enough to seek adventure, but mature enough not to be foolhardy. He believes in getting out of his comfort zone which most of us want to remain in, and pushing the envelope around him, he has made time away from his profession and challenged himself in other areas of life to make himself a more mature and a complete person. And I think most of us have echoed this feeling here of how humble you tend to become in front of nature. He's dared to fail because he believes that if you've not stumbled, you've not tried enough. So a huge lesson for us not to give up after our failures, and an utmost pride to the entire Indian civil doctor fraternity that he's the first Indian civilian doctor to summit Mount Everest on 19th of May 2013 at 9:10 a.m. We can only imagine what he must have felt, and let us give him a big round of applause. So as we speak today on 16th June, this is a decade since he has summited Mount Everest in May 2013. He has proved himself, he has proved to himself that what he always believed in, and this is most important, and that is limitations exist only in the human mind. I think when I read his profile the first time, this struck me the most, Dr. Lala, that limitations exist only in the human mind. He's a cancer surgeon who realizes that normality, we all talk about normality as health professionals, is a paved road. It's comfortable to walk on, but these paved roads do not have any flowers growing on it. So it's the unpaved, difficult paths that you take up are the ones that have the flowers. And I think all of us who've been amidst nature would appreciate that. Towards realizing his childhood dream of summiting Mount Everest, he completed the Triple Crown expedition in October 2012, in which he summited 3 20,000 feet peaks around Mount Everest. Wow, 3 peaks, and that 1 month long vigorous training in basic and advanced mountaineering, rock climbing, crevasse rescue, and snowcraft geared him to take on the great challenge of summiting the highest point on earth. Dr. Murad has participated, so he not only is an icon in mountaineering, but he's also participated in the last degree ski expedition, where he skied to the geographic South Pole in December 2022, very recently. And he began, I think, his New Year's celebration on 7 January 2023, where he summited the Mount Vinson, which is the highest mountain in Antarctica. What more do we wait for to give him another round of applause? In addition to this magnificent journey on the mountains, he has some other extracurricular achievements to his record. He's participated in the Raid A de Himalaya, the Himalayan Car Rally in 2007, 8 and 9 consecutively. He's awarded the trophy for securing the 3rd place in the car category in 2009, along with his soulmate, his wife, Dr. Mamta Lele, who's a pediatrician and an avid adventure sport enthusiast herself. Wow. Basic and advanced Arctic polar training at Svalbard in Norway in January 2019. And he's also participated in the 1400 kilometer cyclothon race across Iceland in June 2017. He's been a participant of the Standard Chartered Mumbai Half Marathon in 2013, 14, 17 and the Navi Half Marathon in 2016. Skydiving, bungee jumping, parasailing, whitewater rafting are a few of the other adventure sports that he engages in. As an NCC cadet, he has been awarded the All India Best Cadet for the Air Wing, winner of the Prime Minister's Gold Medal, represented India at Singapore in the NCC India contingent with a certificate holder. Apart from all of this, he also holds a private pilot's license. So I think he loves to look at the mountains, not only of the Duke of Edinburgh's Award, the gold medal of Duke of Edinburgh's award scheme in 1981. And the way very humbly that he summarizes his journey is that miracle is not that I summited, the miracle is that I had the courage to take the first step. And so he's here today to motivate all of us to take our first step. There are some who have taken some baby steps, and there are a lot of us who are waiting eagerly to listen to him to take the first step. And as I see some faces in the audience which are already talking about we have to get our first step. So yes, we have to make our first step here. And so I have this honor and privilege to welcome Dr. Murad Lala on the podium to share his experience of
Climbing a mountain is different from other sports. The only opponents that you face are the demons that play in your mind. The only goals that you can score are the limits that you set for yourself, whether it be the summit or anywhere else in between. There are no spectators to cheer you on, so many a times it's a lonely battle of your mind versus the elements. So what is the aura? What is the romance associated with summiting this mountain? We all know that it's the tallest point on the earth, and it's the longest duration. It takes at least 2 months if you want to successfully summit this mountain. It's not like any other mountain or hill around here where you go to the base and you keep climbing and climbing until you reach the summit. If you try that on Mount Everest, neither will you reach top nor will you come down. Again, it has to do with your acclimatization. It's a very long waiting game. Many times there's nothing you can do except wait it out for the blizzards to blow over, for the bad weather to blow over, for the correct opportune moment to continue your climb. So many times there's nothing you can do except wait it out in your tent. And Mount Everest, coming in at around 29,000 feet, it comes within the jet streams. These jet streams are very strong winds that range across the earth with velocities of approximately 200-250 kilometers an hour. And it's just a few days every season that these jet streams move higher up and northwards towards China. And that's the time you have to make your summit push, reach the summit, and get back down before the winds come back. So there's a very small summit window every year on Mount Everest. It is risky. Accidents and deaths are a reality on the mountains. Now in 2018, this image was flashed across the world saying that the highest traffic jam in the world on Mount Everest. This is partly true if you see this image, but remember that on this particular day in 2018, the summit window was just 4 to 5 days. So anyone that year who wanted to summit Mount Everest had to be at this point to be successful to reach the summit. And there's a lot at stake. It's a very expensive expedition. It takes a lot to actually plan for this expedition to get there. And then not to be able to summit because you're not in the correct position, then you lose out a lot. So that is why a lot of people had to be present at this particular point. Someone took this photograph and it flashed across the world. And this was the other thing, the lines going up to Mount Everest. But trust me, rest of the year, there's nobody on Mount Everest. Now when I decided to summit Mount Everest, I had a problem. I had not done any serious mountaineering before this. So I approached the Indian organizations and I was told that you're too old because to do the basic and the advanced mountaineering courses because the cutoff age was 40. I was almost 50 at that point of time. So they said you're too old. But I looked around abroad and I found a group called the Peak Freaks, which is a Canadian group, and they said that if you come and climb with us and train with us in Nepal the prior year, then we might consider you for Everest. So in 2012, I went and climbed these 3 peaks around Everest in the range of about 18 to 20,000 feet. And as we are climbing these peaks, they teach us everything that we need to know about rock climbing, crevice crossing, crevice rescue, etc. And after successfully going through this program, they allow me back for a bid at the summit. He is Tim Rippel. He is our team leader, and here he is teaching us to use the Kamothe bag. Now, when we are on the mountains, and if anyone gets acute mountain sickness, the only treatment for that is rapid descent. Many times because of the bad weather, because of the conditions, you cannot bring the sick climber off. So you open this bag, it's something like a laptop bag, you carry it on the mountain. You open it up, you inflate it with that leg pump, and it's put the sick climber into this. It simulates a descent of about 5,000 to 6,000 feet and helps you buy time to get the sick climber off the mountains. So this was in 2012 October. I came back to Mumbai. It's not the ideal training ground for someone who wants to summit a Mount Everest. But I was lucky I found this high altitude gymnasium. So this was in Juhu. It's closed down since. So I got into this chamber and it simulates an altitude of 10,000 feet. So for an hour every day I would go into the chamber, I would practice in this chamber, sort of acclimatizing my body to 10,000 feet so that before we actually get onto the mountains, we are slightly or partly acclimatized. I shall introduce you to my team one by one. It was truly an international team. We were 5 in our team all from a different continent. The first member of our team is Sean Mooney. Now Sean Mooney is a Canadian and he is the Canadian chess boxing champion. I had never heard the sport before. Apparently, you box in the center of the ring, and instead of when you're supposed to go to your two sides to rest, a chessboard is brought into the center of the ring. You play chess for 4 minutes, then you get up and you start boxing again. So it's supposed to be the ultimate mental and physical endurance game. The next person in our group was Kevin Fairbrother. Kevin Fairbrother is from Australia, and Kevin had successfully summited Mount Everest earlier, but this time he was attempting to summit the mountain without oxygen. So far in the world, less than 100-150 people have summited Mount Everest without oxygen. Unfortunately, on the last day, he just became too breathless, so he had to put on his oxygen and he continued climbing with oxygen, and it was his second successful summit on Mount Everest. The youngest in our team was Patrick. Patrick, 24 years old, thin, wiry guy from Ireland, and a vegan. So the Sherpas found it very difficult. What do you feed this guy on the mountains? So they would give him a powder, they say put water, put sugar, mix it and have it. And towards the end of the trip, they told him this is called champa, and this is what they feed the bulls and the yaks on the mountains with. So and it seemed to work because he was always the fastest in our group and mentally very strong. Once our team leader got a message on his satellite phone when we were climbing around 20,000 feet, telling us that Patrick's eldest brother had died in an avalanche in the United States. We thought that's the end of his trip, he's going to pack up and go back. But he was very practical about it. He said it will take at least 5 days to get back to the United States, by which time all the formalities will be over. So he said he'll continue climbing and do the summit in honor of his dead brother, and he continued climbing with us. The fourth person in the group was myself, the only Indian, the only doctor, and the eldest in the group. And the last person in our group was Lee Den Horn, who was a lady from South Africa. Now Lee Den Horn was climbing for the HIV children of South Africa, and that's why we had a lot of media hype behind our group. And we had a film crew come in and film us all the way up to base camp. And once a week we were shown on TV in South Africa, and people used to phone in and pledge funds for the children with HIV in South Africa. So if you want to get to Everest region, you have to take a flight from Kathmandu on these small planes to an airport called Lukla. Now Lukla is at 9,000 feet. It is considered one of the scariest airports in the world because it is just 400 meters long. At that end, there is a huge valley, and where we are filming it from is a big mountain. So this aircraft has one attempt at a proper landing or a proper takeoff. There are no going arounds and coming back again. These are small aircraft, carry about 16 to 20 people, and anything that you require for your climb comes in on these flights. It's a beautiful flight to do it from Kathmandu. You're coming in deep into the mountains. You really know the sort of gravitas of the mountains when you come on these flights. You're flying low in the valley with these huge mountains all around you, and then you suddenly see this matchstick of a runway, and then you have to come in and land on it. It's pretty scary, so much so that when you actually land there, all the passengers clap out of relief. Now this airport is not open throughout the day. It's sort of open just a few hours every day when the weather is good, when there are no clouds. So when all the aircraft come in, they have to do a quick turnaround, passengers, and get back out as soon as possible, as the weather changes very fast over there. So you can see this aircraft is coming out, and the passengers for this aircraft are just now waiting on the tarmac clearly in a line, and they are the ones who come in and those are the passengers there waiting to sort of get into this aircraft. and again go. Now this aircraft is getting ready for takeoff, but he sees another plane coming in and gets so crowded sometimes that you see the cars waiting for one to go out, for the other to come in, and then this take off. So it's a very interesting place to stand on these mountains and just watch these planes coming and go out. And if in case you all don't want to summit Mount Everest, at least in this flight into Lukla is a fantastic flight and it's a real thrilling experience. So now that plane goes in, then this will turn around and get ready for takeoff. So she just fast forward this. And now when this plane actually takes off, you'll realize the slope in the runway as well. That's the slope in the runway. So that's the first point. Getting into Sagarmatha National Region, you have to get into Lukla Airport, and once you reach there, it's at 9,000 feet, it's a totally different world. No more roads, no more vehicles, and anything that you need for your climb has to go in on the back of these yaks or the Nepali porters. Nepali porters, phenomenally strong people. They carry these massive drones and still they walk 2 to 3 times faster than you can walk. From Lukla, you have to get to Everest Base Camp, which is at 17,000 feet. Now, in your enthusiasm, if you rush up, you're going to get acute mountain sickness, and that's the end of your trip. So you take it easy, the dictum being that you don't ascend more than 1,000 feet in a day, giving time for your body to acclimatize to your altitude. You take it easy, stopping at these small tea houses along the way, and it takes approximately a week to reach Everest Base Camp. This also is a lovely journey. There's no climbing to do here in the sense there's a path all along the way up to base camp, and it is really worth doing. Someone said that they wanted to do base camp. Trust me, it is really doing a trek up to Everest Base Camp. Initially, as we climb up, a lot of forest areas, these lovely rope bridges, and of course the prayer stones, the prayer wheels, etc. And it's very important, wherever you go, whether it's for work, for leisure, respect the local custom. The local custom says that when you see a prayer wheel, keep it on your right, move it in a clockwise direction, and your prayers go up to the heavens. Initially, a lot of forest areas are mentioned, but as we go higher and higher into Sagarmatha National Park region, it just gives way to rock, ice, and snow. At a place called Dingboshe, the highest spiritual leader of Nepal used to reside over there. So he does a special prayer for us, blessing us for a safe onward journey, and then we continue towards Mount Everest. You can see lovely path all along the way. The one in the green is me, the one in the blue is me, and way ahead there you can see the summit of Mount Everest. That is the summit of Mount Everest, and that's the summit of Mount Numse. Lovely blue sky, a lovely clear day. You think it's a perfect day to summit Mount Everest, but you can see the plume coming off the summits there. That means the jet streams are there, and that is actually snow being blown off the summit of the mountains. So this is a day you will not be able to summit Mount Everest. Now, before we reach Everest Base Camp, we come to a place called Monument Hill. Our team leader made us sit down there, gave us a serious talking to, telling us that climbing this mountain is serious business. It's not a joke. Deaths happen on this mountain, and all these stone piles that you see here, these are called chotins, and each one represents a climber that's lost his or her life while attempting to summit the mountain. So if you want to turn back, now is the time to turn back. And then the next day, we reach Everest Base Camp. This international village of tents comes up only during the climbing season, and it's actually a glacier. We are ringed by these huge mountains, and it's a lovely place to sleep, and sort of it was going to be home for us for the next 4 to 6 weeks. So this is it, and you can see here, this was my tent. Very unique experience for us city people to sleep on a glacier. I'm sleeping over here tonight. When I get up in the morning, my tent has shifted somewhere else. Once I rushed out of my tent because I heard water gushing under my tent. I went to my Sherpa, I said, there's water under my tent, what to do? He said, go back to sleep, it's a glacier. So things that are very sort of unique to us, but very common for these mountain people. Temperatures vary from -20 to +20. You suddenly have these ice formations in front of your tent, and in a few hours' time, they disappear again. The other things that we keep hearing about the Himalayas and Mount Everest is the world's highest garbage dump, because a lot of people go for climbing there, dump their garbage there and come back. Yes, it was so, but Nepal government has taken this very seriously, And in fact, we all gave a garbage deposit to the government before our trek. And once we come back, we are given back that garbage deposit, provided we brought back all the refuse, all the waste, etc. from the mountains. So in fact, now Mount Everest is actually quite clean because a lot of initiatives have been taken to clean up the mountain. And this lady was our campsite inspector. So the government sends in a campsite inspector who comes into your camp, confirms that you are sort of maintaining the correct norms, the correct garbage disposal, all the oxygen cylinders, everything are coming off the mountain, and only then you will get back your garbage deposit. This was the dining tent for our team. This is a sort of only warm place that we had on Everest Base Camp. You can see a lot of high energy food stuff, high energy drinks on the table. You have to keep yourself well hydrated over there because you think it's cold, but you're still losing a lot of fluids. So you have to drink at least 5 to 6 liters of fluid over there. It's not so easy because one is you're at altitude. Secondly, the more you drink, the more you have to go to pee, and going to pee is another big phenomenon over there. And you have to eat well as well because you need the calories, you need the proteins. And thanks again to the Nepali folks, we used to get fantastic food at base camp. On special occasions, they even made sizzlers for us, and this was up to base camp. Now, before we actually step onto the mountains, a Tibetan monk comes and does a special puja. Now, this puja is to seek permission of Mount Everest, of Sagar Mata, to step onto her. And it is only after this permission and this puja that we are actually allowed to step onto Mount Everest and start our climb. It is a revered mountain, it is a holy mountain, and we need to respect that. So this, at a place called Kalapathar, which is near Mount Everest, we climb up there just for acclimatization, and at sunset, this is Mount Everest, and this is Mount Nupse. I shall first show you in 3D animation what's the route we take up to the summit, and then show you the actual images. So the first part of your climb is actually the most difficult part of the climb, because you have to cross something called the Khumbu Ice Fall. This Khumbu Ice Fall are towering blocks of ice that are coming off the mountain. It's a glacier, so it's full time sort of moving and coming off the mountain. There's a lot of crevice crossing and a lot of rock climbing that you need to do. You get across this segment, and then you reach Camp 1. So you reach Camp 1, you pitch up your tent there, you spend a night at Camp 1, and then you come back all the way to base camp. So this is the only way that your body acclimatizes to the low oxygen levels. You climb high, you sleep low. So you go to Camp 1, you spend the night there, you come back down to base camp, spend the night there. Then again you climb up, you cross the Khumbu Ice Fall, you get to Camp 1, spend the night at Camp 1, and then start proceeding to Camp 2. Camp 1 to Camp 2 looks like a lovely flat area, walk in the park, but you are at 20,000 feet. At 20,000 feet, the oxygen level is 50% that compared to sea level. And secondly, if you notice, you've got these mountains all around you. You start your climb early morning around 4 a.m., 5 a.m. when it's extremely cold, you have all your layers on you. Now as the sun comes up, it reflects off the snow, including snow on the ground, and hits you. And then your body temperature starts rising. Your body temperature starts rising, you start sweating. But the moment the sun goes behind a mountain or behind the cloud, the temperatures plummet and the sweat on your body turns to ice. You can't allow that to happen, so you keep sort of removing your layers, putting on your layers, somehow reach Camp 2, spend the night there, again come back to Camp 1 and come in all the way back to base camp. You start the whole process again. Go to Camp 1, one night, Camp 2, one night, acclimatize yourself, and then you start moving towards Camp 3. Now Camp 2 to Camp 3 is considered again a very difficult segment because there's something called the Lhotse phase. This is a very steep incline that you need to climb across and keep climbing. It is solid blue ice because ice, as the snow falls on this area, it gets blown away. So it's a solid blue ice. You have to keep climbing however exhausted you are to reach the safety of Camp 3. This is where it really struck me, that I'm doing this on a whim. At any point of time, I can just turn back, go back home. But what about our cancer patients? However difficult the journey for them, however difficult the side effects, they have to keep fighting on. And that sort of gave me strength. And we continue climbing, we go to Camp 3, spend a night there, again come back all the way down to base camp. So you have to keep doing this until you are acclimatized, and only then you reach Camp 4. Camp 4 is called the South Pole. It is at 26,000 feet, and now you have entered something called the dead zone. your body from 26,000 feet onwards, your muscles start dying because the oxygen level is very less over there. You are not supposed to be at that altitude. So you spend as little time from now onwards. From the evening, you put on your oxygen and you start climbing all the way to the summit. You cannot stop along the way because it's too cold, you'll get hypothermic, and or the weather just changes, you'll get blown away. You've got limited oxygen supply. So you make it somehow to the top, hoping to reach the summit sometime in the morning, turning around there and coming back again to the safety of Camp 4 as soon as possible. And so the last day will be approximately walking continuously for 24 hours if you want to successfully summit the mountain and come back to the base. This is the actual visuals, how it looks when we are climbing early morning. This is starting each one with his or her headlight. It's a very pretty sight to see all these lights crawling up the mountains, but it's extremely cold at this point of time. And this is the start of the Kamothe Ice Fall. As I mentioned, we are nothing in front of nature. We are so small, minuscule over there. And this Kamothe Ice Fall are towering rocks of ice. They change on a day-to-day basis. You'll see this huge block here. Next day, this would have collapsed. Something else would be there. But it's a phenomenal place to be. Here, the images have been taken with the GoPro camera. These are special boots that we wear. They're called Everest boots. And this is Mount Mooney, considered the daughter mountain of Mount Everest. We also carry something called the Spot. This is a GPS device that we carry with us so that on the mountains, wherever we are, back home, our family and friends can locate us and know exactly where we have reached on the mountains. So I can't tell my wife I'm summiting Mount Everest and run away to Bangkok. She'll know that immediately. This red button is the SOS button. So if you are in trouble, you press the SOS button, and if the weather conditions are right and if you are at the correct place, they'll probably try and send in the rescue and get you out of there. Luckily, during our climb of Mount Everest, we do not have to use it, but when we were doing the training climb in the Triple Crown expedition, at this point, the lady behind me, she slipped and she fractured her ankle. So we brought her down. You can see I've strapped her injured leg to the normal leg. We put our backpacks here to protect her from the wind. We pressed the SOS button, and in about 4 hours' time, we had this helicopter come in to rescue her, but they could not land where we were, so we brought the injured climber down to a lower place. And this year, then we put her into the helicopter. She was evacuated to Kathmandu, and the same day she got her ankle repaired. So it works. Coming back to the Kamothe Ice Fall, this area over here is called the popcorn segment. I shall show that once again later. And you can see a beautiful, it's just raw nature. It's just out of this world. Very cold, but mesmerizingly beautiful. But however beautiful it is, I can't sit on this rock over here, this thing over here, take a selfie behind me, because at any moment this whole thing will collapse. So the Sherpas don't allow you to stop and relax over there. So you have to keep moving. And here we're doing the ladder climbing. And you can see a helicopter going there. Now, if you see a helicopter go beyond base camp, it is going for a rescue mission. So this was another helicopter we filmed doing a rescue mission. Can you see the climber? That is the climber. So sometimes the helicopter cannot land, so they throw down a rope. You rope in the injured climber, and as a swing operation, the injured person is brought down to base camp, then put into the helicopter and evacuated to Kathmandu. So this is again the Kamothe Ice Fall. This is called the popcorn segment, and I summited in 2013. In 2014, exactly at this point, an avalanche happened and 16 Sherpas lost their lives. So that year, the entire climbing season was closed down. Here I am doing a crevice crossing. The person behind me is Mingma. He's my personal Sherpa. He's literally my guardian angel on the mountains. Without the Sherpas, commercial climbers, as I was called, cannot do this. You need to be a professional, or you need the help of the Sherpas, and all of us are climbing thanks to the Sherpa community that's supporting us over there. So here, again, he's encouraging me to climb this roping ladder, and here I'm doing a crevice crossing, and that is Mingma, my Sherpa, this is D, and that is me doing the crossing. And I shall first show you how it looks like to do a crevice crossing. So this is it. The ladder is thrown across the crevice. Sometimes you see the bottom, sometimes you don't see the bottom. It didn't matter because I was scared either ways. And you have to have immense faith in your Sherpa. I mean, he says, do it is safe, you will do it. And
And what's most frustrating is many times, even though you are climbing up, you have to climb down, find a safer route and go up again. And you are at 20,000 feet. Every time you step down, you know that it's going to be an effort to take that step up again. So it's very frustrating. You can see there's supposed to be a ladder here, but because of the snow condition, the rungs get covered by the snow. And it's exciting, but pretty dangerous as well. But this is the only way to sort of get across this segment. And it is the Sherpas who sort of laid the route, laid the ropes, put the ladders and guide us and tell us it is safe to go or it is not safe to go, and accordingly we do it. So this is depending upon the size of the crevice, they will put 2 or 3 ladders tied together, thrown across, and then we have to step across like this. So scary, but extremely beautiful. You can see this. Now, I know the rope is there, so I'm supposed to go. My Sherpa says, yes, it is safe to go, so I will take it and go. And initially, during the climb, initially it used to take me at least 6-8 hours to get across the segment. But as you become more acclimatized to it and more adept at doing these ladder crossings, it became faster and faster. And towards the end of the season, I was doing it in about 4 hours. So you get this, but as I go up this way, when I come down, this whole thing would have collapsed. So the Sherpa will find another safer way around, and then again I come around. So this is one way of we will go and again climb up here and then reach the Camp 1. So as I said, it's an extremely beautiful segment, but pretty dangerous as well. And then we get across it and we come to the safety of Camp 1. So that is Camp 1 there at 19,500 feet. Now when we reach Camp 1, there are no Sherpas who are going to cook for you. You carry your own utensils, you carry your own stove, and I'm back to Maggi noodles. Now when we were in Camp 1, the first time we went there, we got caught in a blizzard. When you get caught in a blizzard, trust me, it is so scary. You are at 19,000 feet, you have this howling winds. You don't know how long the blizzard is going to last. You sort of lie down in your tent, try to get some sleep, but you can't speak to the person in the other tent because of the howling winds. You've got limited food supply. You are scooping up the snow, boiling it, keeping yourself hydrated. You doze off to sleep, you get up thinking 3-4 hours have passed. You look at your watch, 10 minutes have passed. So 2 nights we had to bear it out in the blizzard, and then on the 3rd morning we got up to a clear blue sky and we could run back to the safety of base camp. This is how it is in a blizzard. You dare not step out of your tent. We always carry 2 bottles with us. The Nalgene bottle, in which we carry fluid, and we keep it within our jacket so it's always in a fluid form, and we keep hydrating ourselves with it. And the pee bottle, which is the pee bottle. At night, it's too dangerous to step out of your tent for a pee, so you use this bottle. You're supposed to open the zipper of your tent, empty it out, keep it ready for the next episode. Now, I didn't know I was supposed to do that, so the next time I got up to pee, it was frozen and I could not use the pee bottle again. So this is going towards Camp 2 at 21,000 feet. You can see a helicopter there, someone with frostbite was being evacuated, and this is the highest level to which a helicopter will come and rescue you. Beyond this, if you need a helicopter rescue, you have to bring the sick climber down to Camp 2, 21,000 feet, and then hope for a helicopter rescue. So this is at Camp 2. And then once we are totally acclimatized, now slowly we are going towards Camp 3. This is that difficult segment I said, the Lhotse phase. And this is me, the yellow, starting to climb the Lhotse phase. And it is solid blue ice, you can see here. And even our crampons, that's the spikes cannot sink into it. So you have to keep kicking, get a leash, get your grip, then take your next step and keep going higher and higher like this. So that's the 4 of us. The 5th one was taking the photograph. Then we're going higher. You can see that was Camp 2 over there. We're going higher and higher. We cross something called the Z band in the mountains, which is a constant feature. We get above the clouds and reach Camp 3. Now Camp 3 is again a ledge dug into the side of the mountains. You can see we are totally exposed to the wind. The wind swirling around there. It's extremely windy because you're on this high sort of slope over there, totally exposed to the winds. And we'll be 3 people in a tent, so you can see there's just 2 tents over there. This is at 24,000 feet. Now when we reach the end of our climb, wherever it is, you can see someone has removed the socks. You have to take time to remove the socks, remove the sweat between your toes, and then put on a dry pair of socks. Because if you don't take care of this, you will get frostbite. There's a saying on the mountain, it's not the mountain that will kill you, it is the pebble in your shoes. So take care of the small nitty-gritties and the big picture will fall into place. So this is at Camp 3, and the entire month of April goes in this up, down, acclimatizing yourself. And then we get our weather inputs, and we are told that the summit window, which I mentioned earlier, is going to be somewhere between May 18th to May 24th. So our team leader chose May 19th as the summit day. So you step out of base camp, we go to a place where there's a signal. Of course, now even base camp has signal. So we go to a place where there's signal, we call up home and we say that now this is the final summit push. We will go directly to the summit and come back, no more up, down, we are acclimatized. So for the next 7 days, they will not hear from us. And we set out for the summit, and now we go towards the death zone, that is at 26,000 feet. That is Mount Kumori there. Earlier I had shown you Mount Kumori towering over. That is Mount Kumori way lower down now. So we're climbing up and going towards the death zone, that is at South Pole. We reached it in the evening, you can see a lovely rainbow there. And this was our team peak phase. And we were at 26,000 feet. You put on your oxygen once you reach there, because as I said, it's not compatible with life. We put on our oxygen and we just keep breathing in oxygen, and it is a torture to be at 26,000 feet. You're supposed to just rest in your tent and wait for your climb to start. You can't sleep over there because you get something called chain stroke breathing. You all will be familiar with it. So you sort of doze off, but you hold your breath because you don't have oxygen over there, and then suddenly your carbon dioxide levels raise up and it kicks in, and then you start breathing fast again. So you get chain stroke breathing. You can't eat over there, you can't hydrate yourself because you're nauseous at that altitude, but somehow you have to do these things over there. And that is me at the South Pole. You can see I'm sleeping with my oxygen on, and these are the specialized oxygen titanium cylinders that we carry with us. So the next evening, I'm getting ready for the summit push. On the last day, you carry only your 2 oxygen cylinders, a few bars of chocolate, your water, and your camera. That's all that's going to be on you because you want to be as light as possible to hit the summit and come back. And please, meanwhile, again checking my oxygen that is set up correctly. We set out at 7 o'clock in the evening. Extremely cold, it was minus 35 degrees, and by 7:30 I was exhausted. I didn't know how I was going to do this, and that's where teamwork comes in, team spirit comes in. Each one pushing you, and they're just pushing me along and saying, come on, one more step, one more minute, keep climbing for 1 more minute. And that's how we kept trudging along the way. You can see a lot of people had chosen the same day to summit, and that's why there's a large queue of us leaving from Camp 4 together. Now at around 9 o'clock that night, my headlight backed up, and I shouted to my team leader and I said, I don't have lights, what should I do? So he said, you either turn back or continue without light. And thanks to Murad and Lee behind me, this was me, that they sort of helped me with the lights and I could continue climbing. You don't need light so much to see where to put your foot. You need light to change your ascenders, that the Jumar, what you call the Jumar, from one line to the other. You're wearing your gloves, you're wearing your mitts, it's extremely cold, you can't remove it and change it. So you have to sort of, with that, manage to do it, unlock it from this safety line, put it onto the next safety line, make sure it's locked properly and continue climbing. And if you have lights for that, it helps. The only time we stopped was at a place called the balcony, which we reached at 2 a.m. You keep your old cylinder there, you put on your fresh cylinder, and you continue climbing, and on your way back, you pick up your cylinder and take it down. So we keep climbing, and trust me, I was beyond exhaustion. I was more like a zombie, just putting one foot in front of the other and climbing up. And the only thing that sort of enthuses you is the early morning sunrise. For a change, you actually see the sun rising from below you and coming up into the horizon. And you know that the bulk of your climb is over behind you, and somewhere ahead is the summit. What a perfect day had been chosen. Not a cloud in the sky, there was hardly any wind. It was a perfect day to be on the summit of Mount Everest. As I said, I was not ashamed to say when I came to rocky segments like this, I was literally crawling across it because I was so exhausted. And then again, I would climb up, stand up and start climbing on the snow and the ice segments. So we were very lucky. If you are on a clear day somewhere near the summit of Mount Everest, you see the shadow of Mount Everest on the Nepal Valley. It is called the pyramid, and this is the shadow of Mount Everest on the Nepal Valley, and we could get a photograph of it. So all this time, I started climbing at 7 in the evening. It is somewhere around, around 6 in the morning here, but you still can't see the summit of Mount Everest. You're just climbing and climbing, and somewhere ahead, you see something called the South Summit. This is the South Summit, and it's only when you reach here, that way ahead over there, you see the actual summit of Mount Everest. So that is me coming onto the south summit, and now we have just 2 obstacles remaining. The first obstacle is called the ridge. Now this is the ridge, a very narrow segment that you need to cross. On the left is Nepal, on the right is China, and you need to get across this segment. It's a very narrow segment, and climbers are crisscrossing because someone might be coming down while you are going up. So you have to unhook from the safety line, get around, again hook onto the safety line, and continue climbing. I was extremely nervous at this point, and I asked my Sherpa, if I slip, should I slip to the left or to the right? He said, fall to the right, you live longer. The fall to the left is 8,000 feet, the fall to the right is 12,000 feet. So anyways, we get across the segment, and now I have the last obstacle, the Hillary step. This Hillary step is somewhere around 29,000 feet. It is 40 feet in height, but it is so high that if you notice this whole area, as soon as the snow falls on it, it gets blown away. That's why it's bare rock face. It is 40 feet in height, but you have to haul yourself up with your hands. There's no foot grip over it, and it took me at least more than 20 minutes to get across it. And I climbed it. You see starting the thing, you get across it, you straddle it, and then ahead you know that you're on the mount. You see the summit of Mount Everest, and you know you're going to reach the summit. However fit you are, however athletic you are, you cannot walk faster than this. You take a step, you have to stop, regain your breath, and then take the next step. You just cannot walk faster than this at 29,000 feet. It's a perfect day, not a cloud in the sky even when I was near the summit. One step, stop. One step, stop. That's the summit. So on May 19th, 2013 at 9:10 a.m., I had the privilege of standing on the summit of Mount Everest. But there is no time. There is no time to savor the moment there. You still have to come down safely. So you can see, when I was climbing up just a few minutes earlier, it was clear, but now the clouds have come in. You have to remove your oxygen, you have to remove your helmet, you have to remove everything. You have to photograph yourself on the summit, otherwise the Nepal government does not give you a certificate that you reached the summit. So you take these photographs and you quickly start climbing down. You've got limited oxygen supply. It's playing on your mind that most of the deaths on Mount Everest happen on the way down and not on the way up. So, you're still nervous, you still have to come back down to safety. And you can see here the clouds, I have to go through these clouds to reach Camp 4 again. And if anyone dies on Mount Everest in the death zone, the bodies remain there. And depending upon the snow conditions, you either see them, you don't see them. This was a Japanese climber who had died a few years ahead. It's a stark reminder of the danger you are in. You just say a silent prayer and you continue your climb down. I reached back to Camp 4 the next day at around 6 p.m., 23 hours of climbing. You sort of crawl into your tent, again you try to hydrate yourself. Next early morning I got up, bypassed Camp 3, came back to Camp 2. Again I had a nice hot cup of tea over there. Then you sort of hydrate yourself well, you eat well, stay that day at Camp 2. The next day you get up, you bypass Camp 1 and you come down to base camp. And it's only when you reach base camp that you let the celebrations start that you have successfully summited Mount Everest. But while we were celebrating, look how burnt we were. But while we were celebrating over there, we got a message saying that a storm is coming in, so come out fast. So we got a helicopter to get us out from base camp at Kathmandu. This is again a lovely helicopter ride you can do from Kathmandu to base camp. But you can't come into base camp at 17,000 feet from Kathmandu. Again, you're not acclimatized, you'll get a few mountain sickness. But you can fly out, that's okay. So this is flying out from base camp. Here the team leader giving him a hug for a once in a lifetime experience that I had and getting into the helicopter. And And this helicopter is already at a sort of ceiling, so it just follows the valley and just chases the valley and keeps coming lower and lower down into the sort of vast mountains to Kathmandu. So you can see here take off from base camp. Here, we're just following the glacier and coming down lower and lower into the valley. So just fast forward this. So we were doing this to get out of the storm, but as you can see that we are headed more and more into the clouds, and it sort of started getting nervous for me. I was thinking to myself, this is not the way I wanted to end. And as we were coming lower and lower down, we could see ahead that there were thicker and thicker clouds, and I knew that we were as close to the mountain as the pilot would safely go as low as possible. Now unfortunately, just round this bend, we came into a whiteout. We were surrounded by clouds, the pilot could not see anything, so we had to land in the field. So that look how close to the side of the mountain here, and this is it. So we had to land in the field there. We landed in that field. The whole day the clouds didn't let up, so we had to stay there overnight. And I mean, there was some village nearby, we stayed in the village nearby. Next morning we got up to a clear blue sky and got back to Kathmandu again, where I had a lovely hot water bath and a lovely bed to sleep on after 2 months. So if there is a message in my talk, it is this. Dream big. Dream big and take that first step. Because when you stand on the summit of your Everest, whatever it may be, it is not the mountain that you would have conquered, but yourself. Thank you.
For taking us through your adventurous journey and sharing with us your experience and your wise words of wisdom. I'm sure it has added on to new perspective of our audiences. And now I open the forum for questions. So if anybody from the audience has to ask any questions, kindly raise your hand and the mic will be passed on to you.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your experience with us. I am Shraddha, MPD scholar. My question is, what was your motivational and driving force that led you to take this step of climbing at Mount Everest?
See, you don't have to have a high motivation of climbing Mount Everest or anything. It was more the journey. To be very frank, I didn't know whether I was going to reach the summit. In all probability, I was not going to reach the summit. But it is the journey. It is the preparation for it. It is so many things that you learn along the way. So many new experiences that you gain along the way. So it is not that you don't have a deadline that I have to do this and I'll do only it and I have to be successful. That's not important whether you're successful or not. What's important is the journey where you learn along the way, where you meet new people, you get new experiences. I think that's most important in this.
Thank you for the lovely talk. I'd like to know if while climbing the Mount Everest, did you find or explore any new perspectives towards treating your patients?
I think more importantly is you suddenly realize, as so many people mention how small you are in front of nature and you're actually nothing in front of nature. And as far as patients go, you appreciate the trouble and the pains they are going through. And more importantly, you feel so blessed that you are not one of them. You are healthy and you can dream and you have the means to do these things. I think that's what I most appreciated rather than anything else. Yes, sir.
First of all, sir, I congratulate you. It's a big achievement. But if you see in the term of the science, nature and Sahitya, means literature. I had a chance when I was at their university, my classmate Santosh Yadav, first lady who basically got promoted two times Mount Everest. And that time she told what inspired you to go there. She said that time, Raman, I was looking for somebody told the Mount Everest itself in you, nature is mine. So, if you take, sir, I was constructing some Hindi thing for you. मैं तुम्हें देखने के लिए आ रहा हूं, मैं तुम्हें देखने के लिए आ रहा हूं, तुम्हारे उजाले में मैं अपना सपना और खुशी ढूंढने आया। You have achieved. Your eyes saw number of the universe and nature. My question is, sir, have you found any difference of the nature? If you see the sun here and if you see the sun there. Thank you.
Sir, it is all within you. You don't have to go to Mount Everest to see the sunrise. You don't have to go to a mountain. You don't have to go to a beach to see the sunrise. In Kalina, out of my window, I will see the sunrise. But it is how you perceive it. So I think that is also most important. And what you said about Mount Everest and what she said is true. One thing is that however athletic you are, you may not reach the summit. They say over there, they strongly believe Sagar Mata has to give you permission to stand onto her. And if you notice throughout my talk, I never said I conquered Mount Everest. You cannot conquer the mountains, you cannot conquer nature. You have to, we are allowed to step onto her and we can say that we summited the mountain. And if we summited the mountain, it is because the mountain permitted us to do so. The moment you challenge nature, that is when you land into trouble. Most of the deaths are because people think that they are very brave, that they will face up to it, etc. But you have to know your limitations. If it's not good weather, etc., turn back. You have got a limited lifespan. The mountains will always be there.
It was a very amazing video and amazing experience. We could feel the fear and it was a really horrible, at the same time very amazing experience. Just wanted to know, I am Dr. I am the head of the Department of Prosthetics and Orthotics. I just want, after so many preparations and all, do you have any specific challenge, difficulties, and how did you overcome it?
So my difficulties basically was, the challenge was the cold. Being from Mumbai, we are not used to the cold. So I think the cold was what's really challenging for me. And of course sleeping in those tents, etc. Because to be quite frank, I'm a little claustrophobic. And in those small tents where you have to be, in that tent to lay and all, I found the difficulty. Every night I used to wonder, why am I doing this? Why can't I go back? And then again the sun comes up and I say, chalo, one more day I will do it. That's how I kept doing it. Now since you are in prosthetics, I just want to tell you the year I climbed in 2013, that was the year the amputee, Anurima, I forget her name, yes, enough. The amputee did Mount Everest, summited Mount Everest. And this year, a double amputee summited Mount Everest. So again, limitations exist only in the mind.
Sheena was talking, she said something about you going to Antarctica for the trek testing.
Yes.
So, this trek was on the heights of the earth. The other trek was, let's say, corner of the earth if we follow the map. So, how are both the things different?
You invite me for that talk. No, it is actually totally different. When I went to Antarctica, again you must realize Antarctica is a massive continent. It's 7 times the size of India. Now, the Antarctica that you are probably exposed to are the ones where the cruises go, where you see the lovely icebergs, you see the lovely penguins and the seals, etc. The Antarctica I went to is just stark, raw nature. In the sense that it's just flat, it is just white, there's 24 hours sunlight, there are no animals, there's no living over there. So wherever you turn around, if I showed you a photograph of one of my photographs of Antarctica, I could have said this is the first day, this is the last day, it is midnight, it is 2 a.m., it is 9 p.m., anything I could tell you is the same. So it is just totally bland, devoid of any change or anything. You just see the sky on top, you see if the weather is good, and you see the snow below you. And there we have to ski to the South Pole. It's not climbing, we ski to the South Pole. Again, although it is totally flat, there's a gradual climb as you're going towards the South Pole, because South Pole is at 9,000 feet. That people don't realize, it's not a plane. You're gradually going up, 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 so when you reach the South Pole, it is actually at 9,000 feet. And it is totally different compared to, the preparation is different, the experience is totally different.
It was truly amazing talk. I wanted to ask, if I may ask, what is the total expense and how much days or months prior to preparation in terms of training?
If I tell you the expense, you'll almost say it's amazing. When I went in 2013, I went with a relatively cheap group. It was relatively cheap. It costed me 35 lakhs. Today, that same thing costs approximately 50 to 55 lakhs. If you want to go with more comfort, the cost goes up. It's a very expensive experience, because one is that the Nepal permit itself costs about 10 lakhs. Secondly, getting anything even up to base camp for you is very expensive, because there's so many people. To put me onto the summit, I have at least 30 Sherpas and porters behind me up to base camp, getting the supplies, etc. So it's a very expensive proposition, but it's worth it. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, how long were you training for the Everest?
So I trained, as I told you, in 2012 I went and did that, and then I came back, and that's when I really started my training. Having said that, I was telling Dr. Rajni that very frankly, I didn't do it the correct way. Ideally, you should train much longer for this and do the smaller mountains and then sort of graduate up to Everest. But again, it is important, core training and stamina, and of course your lungs. These are things that you have to consider. You don't need weights, you don't need muscle power over here. You just need core strength mainly. And especially for South Pole, because you're pulling your bulk about 45 kgs behind you, you're pulling that bulk behind you. So you need core training.
All I can say after the last 60 minutes is that I had chills going down my spine, and I'm sure that was with many of us here. So we are extremely grateful to you, Dr. Murad E Lala. Thank you so much. Being a surgeon, we all know how busy it must be for you, but for having taken this time and this effort to narrate your experience a decade later. And one thing that we see here in the audience is certainly in a few months, years' time, we may have somebody coming on this podium to narrate their experience of summiting Mount Everest. And that's the first step that you have motivated many of us to take. So once again, on behalf of Honorable Vice Chancellor, Pro Vice Chancellor, our Medical Director, who are all today engaged in various other activities and therefore they are with us online, on their behalf, we thank you immensely for being here amidst us and motivating our students, faculty members. So may I now request Dr. Ruturaj Shetty to come on the stage and propose the vote of thanks. Dr. Ruturaj Shetty is our faculty of sports physiotherapy, and he encourages many among us here to encourage into sports participation. So
good afternoon, one and all. So on behalf of all of us, I would like to thank Dr. Murad E Lala for sharing his experience of conquering, I won't use the term conquering as you don't like, the summiting Mount Everest. So it was a wonderful experience. So through your words, all of us are inspired to achieve the unachievable. Through your words, we understood that the term impossible only exists in the dictionary. In our life, we can achieve whatever we want if we are really ready and inspired, and if we put in all the hard work to achieve our goals. We at MGM School of Physiotherapy. Okay, I would like to invite Dr. Rita Kartika ma'am, IQC coordinator, and Dr. Raman Yadav sir to kindly felicitate Dr. Murad E Lala.
So on the university front, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Honorable VC Sir Dr. Shashank Dalvi, Pro VC Sir Dr. Nitin Kadam, Registrar Dr. Rajesh Goyal, Medical Director Sudhir Kadam Sir, Medical Superintendent Dr. Sargotra, IQC Coordinator Dr. Rita Tarkipa Ma'am, Chandramati Patak Sir, our Research Director, for providing this opportunity to conduct this session. Heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Prashant Mulapatan, who introduced Dr. Rajni Mulapatan Ma'am to Dr. Murad E Lala, who came here to take such an inspiring session. I would also like to thank Veena Garbal Ma'am, sports team led by Triveni Shetty, all the students, volunteer, support staff, non-teaching staff, IT support staff for smooth conduct of this event. I would request all of you to kindly stand for the national anthem.
अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि गंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगल नायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय 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 भारत माता की